All right, well, I'm going to cover dealing with injury with the mental aspect and the physical as well. Get a little more in depth with that. I'm going to do it like my dad did. What's that?
Oh, no, sorry, that was my phone that said send command, not me.
I'm gonna ask around as well and see if any of you guys, whether you're a high school runner, a coach, a recreational runner, if you guys have any goals in the next year, like where you guys want to be at with a time, a place, or your team. Does anyone have a certain goal you guys want to accomplish? There's one. There's two. Well, 3, 4. There you go. All right. So I'm sure most of you guys have goals, and I think when you're injured, mentally staying focused on those goals is the biggest thing to get you through this injury. A lot of times when you're injured, you just want to lay low. You don't want to do any kind of exercise. You know, you're hurt. You just want to eat anything you can eat, and I think that's something honestly you shouldn't do with the goal in the future. You know, it could be a couple months down the road. You have to stay focused on it, and I think mentally that's what's going to get you through that injury as fast as possible. And at the same time, also, you don't want to psych yourself out. And what I mean by psych yourself out is for some of you high school girls, runners, when you're injured, you're going to be seeing other results around the state, county, and you don't want to be seeing these results and thinking, oh man, like how am I supposed to get there when I'm hurt right now? So just sticking to your path, sticking to your road, sticking to your training, knowing that you have your own plan, you got to work, and you eventually get there. I think that's the best way to deal with it mentally. Which leads me into one of the physical ways to deal with injury is since you can't run, what else you do is cross train. And when I mean cross train, I mean biking, swimming, the Ultra G, which Josh mentioned earlier, aqua jogging, elliptical, lots of different machines that you could be using. And sometimes, when you're going up for a 2-mile, 3-mile run, you try simulating that with a cross trainer. And you got to keep in mind that when you're cross training, you have to be just as intense with your training as you would be if you're running. And what I mean by that is, if you go out for a 20-minute run, going on a stationary bike or elliptical for 20 minutes is not the same effect. Like, I learned that the hard way, and I was hurt, I think, last year, and I had a long run planned for that day, so I was like, I'll go for a bike for an hour. Biking for an hour seems like you're on it all day. And even with the TV and iPod, it's just you never want to be on it again. And I got off the bike thinking, great, worked up a great sweat, day's over. And I remember my dad being like, just ripping into me, like, what are you thinking? Like, it's an hour, you wouldn't even be doing a run for an hour. And he was right, I should have been on the bike for 90 minutes, he told me, so I had to go an extra 30 and then hit up another cross trainer. And those are things you need to do when you're hurt to keep in shape, in order for you to accomplish those goals down the road, because, that comeback trail is going to be that much harder if you don't, keep cross training hard. So a good thing is, at least the bare minimum of cross training you should be doing is how much you run that day, and that's what I like to keep in mind. And then add some on extra, and that's all just cake. So, going back to the mental now, I've been running for this is my 8th year, and I've been fortunately hurt 3 times, and 1 in high school, and 2 this past spring, and then past spring. So, dealing with injuries all fresh in my mind, and I'm glad I'm able to share some of this stuff with you, because this is what I had to go through. And a quote I used, it's not really any famous quote really, it's just something I said over in my head when I'm cross-training, when I'm hurt, is that this stuff is tougher than running. Like, when you're sitting on a bike for an hour or 90 minutes like I was, you have to be telling yourself over and over, like, man, I wish I was running right now. Like, it's, doing this is going to make me tougher when I get back on the cross-country course, just doing all those, different machines. Some of you may like it, and it's not bad. Cross-training on top of running is great. But when you're not running and all you're doing is cross-training or being in the pool, and it just seems like an eternity, you really do wish you could go back out on the course or on the road and mix up the scenery a little bit, I know I do. So having like a good, just reiterating, this is tougher, having a good mindset really does help. And that also leads me to staying positive mentally. Like I mentioned earlier, you just want to lay low, you just want to quit, really, you just want to give up. But when I was hurt, I went on Google and I go, I think I had a stress reaction in my foot, so I go like, ways of, getting over a stress reaction, like quick as possible. And I came to one of these sites, I'm not sure what it was, but it was talking about how to getting over injuries quicker. And one of those things was actually being positive, staying positive, talking to yourself. And they say that actually helps you getting over an injury quicker. And I think it took me my second injury for me to start realizing that. Every day I woke up and was like, oh, it feels a little bit better. Whether even if it didn't, I just kept talking to myself like, all right, it won't be bad. A couple more weeks of this or whatever it may be. That really does help with getting over your injury a lot quicker. And I mean, you're going to be injured for at least, or not running for a week or plus more, and you don't want to be, a wreck, or you don't want to be mad and having a bad attitude for that long. So enjoy life. Next thing is going back to the physical, dealing with injury. Staying in routine, like Lauren mentioned earlier, and that applies also when you're not running, when you're cross training. You may think, sitting on a bike, just pedaling away or going in a pool is going to be easier than running. So what do? When you stay up later, you start eating like, more junk food. And I know that's what I did, and I'm still doing it a little bit right now. But I was going to bed at 3 in the morning, and it doesn't affect you right away, but that's not the best way to get over injury. And your body's going to heal quicker if you put the better food in. Like Lauren mentioned, nutrition. Your body's like a car. You guys have all heard that before, and it's true. So just keep eating well, keep getting sleep, keep stretching. That's another big thing too. When you're running, you finish your run, or before you run, you always stretch. Now you're out of a routine. You're walking into a rec center to go on a bike. You don't think of stretching like in the rec center right before. I know I don't, but that's really a good way to stay in a routine, keeping your flexibility, also not causing another injury, and also keeping up with core as well. All the core work, in your abductors, adductors, the list can go on. Just keeping up with all that stuff is very important in getting over injury. Moving on with the physical, another one is when coming back from injury. We mentioned this earlier, I think my dad and my sister, progression. And I think anything you guys get from any of us talking when you leave is progression in training, whether you're running or you're cross training, is just big in anything you do. And coming back from an injury, like you want to be number one right away. And imagine coming back from injury, getting all motivated because you haven't been running in a while. So you want to do everything right now and there. And your body's not used to that because you just took off a month or a week or a couple weeks, whatever it is. That's the best way to re-injure yourself or injure yourself in another area and start back from day one or step one. And progressing to like maybe a mile a day, 2 miles a day, or even walking. Like I even started walking when I came back from my stress fracture on my foot. Walking felt great. Now I start jogging. Now I run. So I think coming back from injury, not coming back too fast. I'm not sure what part you guys are in training, but just you don't want to be back down that road. I guarantee it.